everyone, before we start the Avengers Secret Wars episode of Delayed Replay, just want to remind people that there is an improv show I'm part of coming up Friday, May 29th. This is with Gene Wilder, and that's Gene spelled Gean because we wear denim jeans. And for this particular show, we are supporting local charity Working Wardrobe, and this is in Costa Mesa, this show at Improv Collective. You could go to improvcollective.fun for info on where that is. But yeah, if you bring old denim to donate, you can get into the show for free. Otherwise, it'll be $5 cash or a $7 card. So yeah, check that out. Check out some fun improv. It's my first time playing with this team. I've been practicing with them for at least a couple months now. So that'll be great. And then the next improv show that I'm in after that will be Saturday, June 6th. And that'll be my last show with Huntington Beach Boys during this IFL season. And you'll hear the coach of the team, Austin, on this particular episode, this Avengers Secret Wars episode. But yeah, that'll be fun. See us compete against another improv team over at Improv Collective. And these are both 9:30 p.m. on their respective nights. So Friday, May 29th for Gene Wilder, Saturday, June 6th for Huntington Beach Boys, all at Improv Collective. Doors open at 9 p.m. as far as I can tell. But yeah, go to improvcollective.fun for info and the calendar and whatnot. You'll even find some other improv shows. So yeah, that's it for now. Thanks for letting me info dump all of that, and enjoy the show.
You're listening to Delayed Replay, the podcast where we recap and review movies that got delayed in that other universe for various reasons, but came out on time in our universe, and therefore come out pretty different for some reason. You might think this is improvised, and well, that's on you. I'm Steven Shinder, and welcome to the show. Airing sometimes every other week, sometimes 1 week and then the next week. It really depends. Just roll with it. Season 7.
Hello, listeners. Welcome to another episode of Delayed Replay, that podcast where we recap or review movies that came out on time in our universe but got delayed in that other universe. I'm your host, Steven Shinder, and joining me, a newcomer for this podcast, it's Austin Mooney, here with me to talk about Avengers Secret Wars, a fellow improviser. We're both involved at Improv Collective. Maybe some of you listeners have seen us with the Huntington Beach Boys. So how's it going, Austin?
I think it's going pretty fun. I do have to say my life was changed and not changed in certain ways after seeing this movie. So I'm still kind of just, I can't believe some people have to wait years in another universe to watch this. That's crazy.
Yeah, this movie, like, it kind of feels like it starts off as a soft reboot from the start and then is kind of a reboot by the end. It's such a strange film. But before we get into that, what's been sort of your history, like, as a Marvel fan, Austin?
Well, as a Marvel fan in general, as a kid, I grew up watching 90s Spider-Man, a little bit of 90s X-Men, but mostly Wolverine and the X-Men. And then when it came to video games, I had Spider-Man and X-Men games, and I noticed you're hearing a lot of Spider-Man and X-Men and nothing else Marvel related up until 2000. Is it 8? I think, when Iron Man comes out, and
Yeah.
then I watch pretty much most of the MCU movies. With my favorite thing from the MCU just being the Daredevil show as a whole, including its revival. And yeah, so essentially overall in the MCU, I really like some characters, but if we were to leave movies, I'm basically just doing Spider-Man or Daredevil or X-Men.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Daredevil is my favorite MCU show. Like the revival Daredevil Born Again has been pretty good, although I kind of feel like I felt more hyped when during the original three seasons, but I do like how it's still a continuation of that. And another, honorable mention, another favorite live action Marvel show of mine, even if it's not in the MCU timeline, is Legion, which is kind of X-Men
Oh.
adjacent and very experimental.
I've seen the first episode of that show, and in fact, my roommate and I just showed it to someone like last week or 2 weeks ago. And it's such a trip.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like you have to be kind of have an open mind. Like if you watch the first episode, you kind of figure out, okay, am I on board for this or am I not? Because it's not a very straightforward superhero type show. It feels, I do kind of wonder sometimes if there are like any David Lynch influences, perhaps. Like it's just so trippy.
Oh, yeah. It also reminds it sort of feels ahead of its time in a way because Legion gives me similar vibes that some Apple TV projects give me, like Severance and even a little bit of Pluribus. I haven't seen the whole show, but like those shows are kind of like cerebral as well, and we're like, what? A little different, but in terms of just like what the hell is going on, you just that's in your head all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like Twin Peaks was also like that, but when that got revived as Twin Peaks: A Return, it was like, what the hell is even happening? So, yeah, it's very much within
Still
that
need to
family, I think.
I need to see Firewalk with me still.
Okay, you've seen the original two seasons of Twin Peaks, yeah, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, good. Yeah,
Love them.
because I always recommend, even though Fire Walk with Me is a prequel, there are certain things it spoils that's better to experience after having watched the first two seasons. Watch it all in release order. So,
Oh yeah.
yeah. The MCU, we've been going through we had the Infinity Saga and then the Multiverse Saga, and I think in both our universe and that other universe, the Multiverse Saga has kind of gone all over the place. Um, and what'd you think of the way that they started this film, Avengers Secret Wars?
So I thought it was interesting given the end of Doomsday, of course. And it was crazy how they then transitioned into almost a really WandaVision like intro where you start off with like it's almost like you're looking at it's like watching a Wonder Bread commercial and you're like, well, what era is this from? Like I get that Marvel's big into like acting shows now with like Wonder Man and like even like WandaVision back then. But it's just like, oh, it's interesting how where we have a new like universe almost being referenced every like 20 or so minutes into the film. There's like a collage of a whole bunch of different things. And I did like 70s inspired Marvel. That was really cool.
Yeah, it really feels like they kind of turned this movie into a sort of kind of a bit of an anthology, kind of a Marvel sampler. So,
Yeah.
yeah, so very different from what people probably would have expected a few years ago. But of course, Doomsday was so weird the way it had like a couple different paths. And now it's like, how do you follow that up? And here, just these different segments and kind of showing the different tones and vibes that you can have with each of these different Marvel stories, which is par for the course with comics, isn't it?
Oh yeah. Especially like when you get into like certain lines, like in DC comics, you have the absolute line, and like all of those different books have a really distinct, almost indie vibe, but different indie vibe.
Yeah, I've been reading Absolute Wonder Woman, Absolute Superman. I got a few issues into Absolute Batman. I need to continue from that one. But you've also been getting me curious about Absolute Martian Manhunter because you've been really championing that one, and it's like, man, I gotta set aside time for that one.
It's so good. If you can find it if you can read it physically, I think that would be the best way. Just because there's a moment where you hold up a page to the light,
Oh
and it
man.
actually happens a few times, and it's like, oh, it's so good. And also the art, it's I believe Javier Rodriguez, if I'm correct, is so good. He did Zatanna Bring Down the House, which won a whatever the comic book award is,
Okay. Yeah,
Eisner.
I'm the Eisner, yeah. Yeah, it's I have DC Universe Infinite, so I have like that digital comic service for DC, but occasionally like once in a while, I don't remember if I've encountered this with a DC comic or just a PDF of a different comic, but sometimes there'll be those comics where a couple pages they'll make everything upside down or
Oh
sideways
yeah,
for like a certain
Absolute
effect.
Flash.
And it's like, man, if I had the physical comic, this would be so easy to read, but I can't like just, I don't want to like pick up my laptop and turn it around type of thing. It's a bit of a headache.
It is crazy because I do remember, I think it's not the first sequence, but so we see 70s Marvel at the beginning, but I do like the part where they just play, I believe it's almost like Werewolf by Night, but it is upside down. And I did think that was interesting because I didn't really know what was going on, and then it was just upside down.
Yeah. Yeah, and things are certainly upside down in this film. There's an entire fight sequence where if they tried to do the one frame thing that Daredevil has done, but also make it
Mm.
upside down, how'd you feel about that particular choice?
I thought I thought so it was interesting because we are essentially following one of because there's the Thor core, and so we're following a lot of them. They're hammers, and so I think one Thor throws the hammer, and then the camera just follows that, and then another Thor catches it, and he beats that guy like down, and then they keep throwing the hammer, and the camera keeps following the camera, or the hammer, the camera follows the hammer, and I thought it was a pretty cool shot. My favorite shot of that sequence so it goes upside down because then the guy catches it, but he's flying, and then so they're doing stuff that way. But then they drop it because someone blasts him. I don't remember who. There was a lot going on, and then it lands like on the ground, and then it lands like quicksand, and then the quicksand goes down, and then we just follow the hammer just going down. And for like 2 whole minutes, or maybe not 2 whole minutes, but like 1 whole minute, we just see the hammer just fall from place to place until it eventually lands in Mephisto's hand. I thought that was insane.
Yeah. Yeah, and speaking of Mephisto, with this being a multiverse movie, we get to see a different version of Mephisto played by Meryl Streep herself from The Devil Wears Prada. So,
Yeah, when she shot Sacha Cohen Mephisto in the head, I thought that was insane.
yeah. Yeah, man, you got all this Disney synergy with like Daredevil Born Again and The Devil Wears Prada 2. And you had that comment recently where Meryl Streep was like, oh, Marvel is ruining movies or something. And apparently that was a deflection to hide this particular reveal.
That was insane, especially to then the line that sequence was, I believed, shot by Martin Scorsese.
Yeah. Yeah. Pretty famous for calling superhero movies just amusement parks.
Mhm. What did you think about the sequence when we went to um I believe it's like the universe Penny Parker is from and Into the Spider-Verse. There was a that little instead of Little Tokyo, it was just that universe and like that district of like New York or whatever. And they were in that internet cafe playing Marvel Rivals. I I thought that was a bit on the nose. I don't know. What did you think about that?
Yeah, I sometimes get, I sometimes feel like that can be dicey, having a video game version or like an in-universe version of a thing within the thing. I suppose it's not unprecedented. I vaguely recall there was some DC movie where someone was playing like a, or no, it was Superman and Lois, the TV show, where the kids are like playing a video game, and I think it might have been either Injustice or DC versus Mortal Kombat, one of those types of
Yeah, yeah,
fighting
yeah.
games. And I think their explanation is, oh, the game is inspired by the real life heroes, and these are like fictional events based on them or something. So I don't know. It was kind of a cute moment, but it's also um like when you see it in a film, there's this vibe of like, okay, this is basically just advertising, right? But it also reminded me of the Runaways comics, the original
Oh, okay.
Runaways comics from Marvel, where it begins with the teen characters playing some online video game where they're playing like as the Avengers characters or the Marvel heroes. And I kind of wish that the Runaways TV show had begun like that because there's so much humor packed into that beginning moment, but the show is very
Yeah.
much more of a drama. It became its own thing. There are some things I liked about that, but the humor of the Runaways comics was quite peak, at least some of the time.
Speaking of that, I don't know if you know this one story, but so they're playing Marvel Rivals and then like the internet cafe. And then all of a sudden, Woody Harrelson's Carnage comes out and he's like taking over the internet, which actually is based off of a comic. I don't remember the name, but like Carnage, I'm pretty sure it's Carnage. Carnage like goes into an MMO and like Spider-Man like has to fight the internet. I'm not making this up. I'm not explaining it completely well either because I watched a video on it like last year, but like it gets out of hand. Like there's an MMO that they use to like do something and like Carnage is like spreading shit through that. It's really weird and really crazy. And I'm just surprised they reference it.
Yeah, that was a surprise because with the Secret Wars, the source material that they get inspired from, there's the 80s version and there's like the 2010s version. The only
Yeah.
version I've experienced is the 80s version, but it was in the form of a novelization by Alex Irvine. So instead of a comic, I'm like reading the novelization of it. But
What
it's
did it
still,
what
yeah.
sorry, I was gonna ask how did the novel describe Spider-Man putting on the black suit?
Yeah, that's a moment that really stood out for me. Like he was like, "Wait, what the heck?" Type of thing. His spidey senses are like out of control or something, and he's really surprised. But then once it's all on, it kind of feels nice. Like there's the whole "I can get used to this" type of thing. So
Yeah.
I think there's like a little tip of the hat to that. You introduce Venom in that storyline. So like how do you up that? Oh, you get Carnage involved here as well, I guess.
Gotta have them all.
Yeah. That's the mantra of
What
the
did you think
Pokemon
about
Company.
what what did you think about the moment when 'cause obviously Doom came back, and I just thought it was crazy that the Disney bought like Fox and stuff, and so they were able to put the entire like The Simpsons into this, and so it's
Yeah.
Springfield, right? Springfield's the city the Simpsons are from. And it was just like they call back to the Simpsons movie, and so they have Springfield and they have the dome. But in this case, we go to the shot and it's like Tom Holland's talking to Doctor Doom, and he's like, "Come on, man, we need you to be good." And Doom's like, "No, remember, I'm a villain, and I have to show you that I'm a villain because of Western rules." And then he presses a button, and then Springfield explodes.
Damn. Yeah, and in light of The Simpsons being part of this, you now have the online fan theories that certain Simpsons episodes are in different universes, and that's why there are different alternate futures of the family and why they don't seem to age, and the different states that the city of
Oh.
Springfield can be in.
Well,
Um,
It's
Yeah.
it's actually kind of funny because I feel like now, because now we have I forget Reed Richards' son's name,
Franklin?
Franklin, because if, for those who don't know, in the end of the 2015 Secret Wars, because Marvel didn't want to give the Fantastic Four any more stories because they weren't making movies off of them, they were like, all right, well, Franklin and my family and we're gonna recreate the multiverse now that it's gone, and so they do that. You might be able to say because Franklin is the reason why Spider-Man doesn't age in the comics, for example. I don't know if that's technically still canon, but like Franklin's like part of the reason why like would they like on like a sliding scale time, like that's sort of their in-universe explanation.
Yeah.
I wonder now if you can theorize it since they recreate the multiverse again and they put the Simpsons back in their own universe, like maybe the reason why the Simpsons don't age is because Franklin's still watching them.
Yeah. Yeah, that very well could be it. And yeah, I remember that, reporting around 2015-ish when it seemed like Marvel was gonna stop giving the Fantastic Four so much. And that would have been about the time when the Fant4stic movie that people didn't like very much came out. So yeah, that's very interesting timing. Yeah.
Did you see that?
A couple years after the fact, it was not good. Like, I kind of think that so a Fantastic Four story does not fit with the vibe they were going for. They're kind of going for sort of a body horror type of vibe, waking up with these powers and be like, oh, what the hell's happening? Which would be an interesting premise for a movie, but doesn't fit with the Fantastic Four.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I I saw it before First Steps for the first time. I also saw Silver Surfer for the first time right before that too.
Oh, wow.
And I remember being like, "Oh man, Fan Four Stick is like 1/4, or there's like a cool movie and cool ideas like spread in there, but there's so many different like hands in that pot that it doesn't make as many sense. Like it doesn't like kind of work as well."
Yeah, I recently saw someone shared an old post where someone who worked on Fantastic was like, yeah, this is going to be the Dark Knight, the next Dark Knight trilogy.
That's that's delusional.
Yeah.
There's simply no way that's true.
Oh man. Yeah, it gave me a good laugh, as you can tell.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, we also got like some of this Battle World stuff still
Hmm.
going on. I do quite like the dialogue exchanges between the characters when, some of the leader types like Professor X and um, Reed Richards and other folks are basically arguing about how to fix everything. Like honestly,
Hmm.
the dialogue driven moments interested me more than some of the action driven moments.
Yeah, I think like I know you weren't the biggest fan, but one of my favorite projects is Wonder Man. And the dialogue in that, especially like at the end of the series, like you're just there to see the characters talk to each other, specifically like Simon and whoever, I forgot the name of the guy who plays the Mandarin. That sucks. But to see like
Trevor
them,
Slattery.
yeah, Trevor Slatter, to see Trevor and Simon talk together, you're like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. And like it's really cool to finally see like Chris Evans, old and young, Tony Stark, and Doomsday, both RDJ, which is crazy. Tom Holland, Andrew Garfield, Tobey Maguire, Spider-Man from Into the Spider-Verse, and then also Nick Cage, Superman. Just kidding, Nick Cage, Spider-Man Noir. Just to see like all of those characters have interactions with each other and like Thor and everyone, and like seeing Yelena be able to talk to Natasha again, like that's really cool. Unfortunately, she has to die again, but it's the universe for you.
Yeah, that really pissed me off in the movie, honestly, because it's like, oh, we have her back, but they have to like get rid of her again.
Yeah, and it's just like, oh, is it the same person? Does it matter? No, she's gone. Okay, we don't have to worry about that anymore.
Yeah, honestly, it felt like that was a last minute change to the movie. Like I could kind of feel they were like really editing this under the wire, trying to figure out the perfect formula for this movie, if there ever was one.
How did you feel this culminated at like as a like how do you think this movie was an end to a chapter, like how Endgame was the end to a chapter, even though technically Far From Home was the last movie in that saga, but who cares?
Yeah, it felt like they were trying to have their cake and eat it too, because the way they explain it here, and this is might be different from how the 2015 Secret Wars comics explains it, but the universe gets rebooted, but the way they explain it is that when like every now and then it'll do a refresh, kind of like how like an iPhone does a background refresh or like a software update type of thing.
Hmm.
So I feel like this is their way of saying, okay, going forward, some of our movies might be reboots unto themselves, even though there are certain things you'll have to remember, but we're gonna try to make everything super accessible. Like each movie might could potentially wipe the slate clean from before it, and I think that's just a way to maximize their box office revenue. The thinking is, oh,
Yeah.
if the audience thinks that they don't have to do all this homework, they can just jump in and what they need to remember is explained for them, then they'll be more likely to come out to these things.
Yeah. I especially like there's a sequence in the film where they've sort of the movie doesn't end because the movie doesn't end when they do the reboot. They're still like that's just act three at the end because evil lives on throughout. But there's a little sequence where they show like how some of the stuff may be a little different and how it's been rebooted. And they showed Deadpool, but instead of any of the Deadpool movies happening how they happened, it's just Wade Wilson just really wants to get a piece of strawberry shortcake, but it's sold out everywhere. And so he just ends up doing some of the same events from Deadpool, Deadpool 2, and Deadpool and Wolverine, but it's just to get a strawberry shortcake, but they're always in short supply. I thought it was interesting because I'm pretty sure he was like a pancake and waffle or like a pancakes guy, I think is like his big thing. But yeah, now he's just really obsessed with strawberries, and then he has a sundae with Channing Tatum and then Logan and like that whole cast at the end of Deadpool and Wolverine. Like instead of shawarma, they all get strawberry shortcake.
Yeah. Man, talk about all that fourth wall breaking with Deadpool. There's even a moment where Deadpool is sort of making fun of the audience for coming to see this movie, which, I mean, wow, what a way to like treat your audience there, Marvel.
I heard that was Ryan Reynolds ad-libbing, and then I heard it actually wasn't ad-libbing. He was just really mad at one specific PA. So he was just letting them have it, and then they edited it to make it sound like he was talking to the audience.
Yeah. What'd you think of She-Hulk's fourth wall breaks in this one?
I thought it was cool, because like she punches the sexism out of the audience, and then like
Yeah.
the the like I don't know why I don't know, but somehow I felt like the movie got better after that. I don't know, maybe I got punched too. Um, I just thought that was cool. And then I also just like the moment where she turns to the screen and she goes, "I know you all wanted to see this again," and then she just pulls Matt Murdock onto the screen, and then he's in the movie. Like interesting
Yeah.
way to pull in Daredevil.
Yeah. Yeah. And she could do that because you don't have to think too much about, oh, where's Matt Murdock in relation to the Daredevil TV show? Oh, She-Hulk break fourth wall. She'll just like bring him in, whatever.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I forget she actually technically kind of gives an explanation because there was like it was like when Battle World was like still kind of split, and so, and of course our version of Battle World we had our New York essentially, so we have New York there that Doom has like taken over. It's like new Doomstadt, I think, and she just punches, yeah, so she punches sexism out of the audience, and then she like puts her hand up that way, and then they cut to a clip of like Daredevil fighting Bullseye in the opening scene of Born Again, but there's just green hand that just pulls Matt Murdock out of that and onto her screen, and it's like, oh wow, Daredevil's here. That's so cool.
Yeah. Yeah, there were some people in my audience who were like cheering during that moment he appeared, honestly.
That was my favorite. Well, my real favorite part of the movie is when Daredevil and Spider-Man are talking on top of like the edge of the world, and they're just going over all their shared grief. And like Matt's talking about Feige and Peter's talking about Aunt May. And then and then Daredevil, or not Daredevil, and then Deadpool shows up and he gives them strawberry cheesecake and they just all eat on top of the ledge. Like that was one of my favorite scenes. Like talk about quiet moments.
Yeah, when he said talking about Foggy, for a moment I thought he said talking about Feige. I'm like, I'm pretty sure Deadpool was the one talking about Feige. Like,
I think,
yeah.
doesn't he shoot Feige? Or does he
Yeah.
shoot John Favreau? I don't remember.
No, no, yeah, I think he shoots Favreau and She-Hulk like beats up Feige. Yeah, it was like a combo type thing.
That's pretty fun. I also did like, I don't know if you noticed, but there was like Mandalorian and Grogu like merch somewhere at parts of the movies.
Yeah. It was definitely more than a wink. It was pretty much like a, yeah, go buy this stuff type of thing. It was so distracting to me.
Yeah, and I thought they were flirting for a second there to show us Star Wars, but it just ended up being more Guardians
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah. Something that's also been happening in comics lately is like the DC and Marvel mashups.
Hmm.
And unbeknownst to us, like there's a bit of synergy between this film and all of those like types of mashup comics. What did you think of the connection here in this movie?
I thought it was interesting. So, in some of the crossover comics, they have established it where it's like, oh, the heroes have been here for like a while. Some crossover, even in the same like Deadpool, Batman, Batman, Deadpool, Superman, Spider-Man, Spider-Man, Superman, like even in those, there's different versions of the respective universes. Like it can be a crossover, or it can be like, oh, they were just here the whole time, but we just don't know what this universe is like.
Yeah, like they don't
And I
explain how Peter and Clark are in the same universe. It's just like, oh, they already know each other, just skipping over some stuff to get to the story.
yeah, and so just for that way, because I don't know if a lot of people know, but the DC analog in the Avengers universe is the Squadron Supreme. And so I like when they did the universe where it's like, oh, the Squadron Supreme has been here the whole time and they helped the Avengers. And then like instantly, I believe Doom and some members of the Thor Corps just show up and they just instantly demolish all of the heroes. And I was like, oh man, that kind of sucks. You, and then they also just, it's crazy how they just killed the Eternals. Like they straight up burnt them all to the ground. I thought that
Yeah.
was insane. I didn't think the Eternals was that bad. I thought Marvel should have treated it better.
Yeah, it really feels like they gave in to some of the fans who weren't into that. And, there are certain Marvel things where, yeah, they are bad, and others were like, they could have done better. They should get more of a chance. But yeah, Marvel has sometimes been very reactionary to some of these things, or Marvel and Disney and Lucasfilm, like pretty much all the studios, really. So yeah, I also think it was kind of a shortcut to, you know, sever off the DC connection just so they don't have to license that too much, like not pay too high of a fee to present some of that in this movie. But it's like at that point, why even have
Mhm.
that in the movie? It's such a bizarre
Yeah, it's like
choice.
why have Captain Marvel meet Captain Marvel just to get rid of Captain Marvel?
Yeah. Yeah, that was quite the surprise there. Something that's also kind of absurd is that they really play up the secrets aspect of the title. Like, in order for them to prevent all of existence from being obliterated, some of the heroes have to, and villains have to confess some of their own secrets, hence secret wars. What were some of the secrets that like caught your ear amidst all this?
Um, uh, I remember. Oh man, I'm just trying to think of a character. There are so many. Um, I remember. I like Reed Richards claims to have cheated on a math test in like the first grade. Um, but it wasn't so much that he like looked up the answer. It's just he already knew everything ahead of time. And so the teacher thought he cheated. And then everyone was like, Reed, so you didn't cheat? And he's like, well, I guess not. And they're like, well, then you didn't confess a secret. And then he got all flustered. And
Yeah,
then I like how every time someone's saying a secret, Deadpool just goes, yeah, and I'm coming out, guys. And and that's all he ever said. He didn't say if he was actually like coming out as like bi or anything. I think in the comics he is, but he just ended up coming out, guys. And I think the joke was that it was an open secret, but whatever.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it really was not very much of a secret, but it was funny the way that it came out that way, the way he worded it. Um, Something that really surprised me was when Daredevil was like, my sight came back a few years back. I've just been acting blind since then because I just got so used to how my eyes are supposed to look.
Yeah, I believe it was referencing the Charlie Cox interview when he says
Yeah.
he has a hard time acting in other projects because he pretends he's blind. He's like, oh, oh, and then of course the confession from Hawkeye that he was actually in love with Natasha the whole time, but Natasha only ever texted him back one word replies when he was interested. So, you know, apparently you settle for Linda Cardellini after that.
Yeah. And Doctor Strange, his secret was that he is actually British. He's just been pretending to do an American accent to fit in all this time, but now from here on out, Cumberbatch is going to use his normal British accent because it's like that's how it should have been from the start.
I also think it was funny because Tony confesses to actually have been Sherlock Holmes the whole time, but then that version of Tony gets erased from existence. And I thought that was funny because then we were referencing the Sherlock thing of it all. But I do think one of my favorite secrets was when Bruce mentioned that because Mark Ruffalo is a different actor, like, and he's not Edward Norton, he's not actually the Hulk. He just roids himself out and paints himself green. I thought that was really funny. I think that was a bit of a plot hole, but I feel like at that point I have no idea what if I was watching was real or if what I was watching wasn't real, just because there are so many instances where it was like, ooh, you saw this and this happened, and then it didn't. Like the 70s inspired intro sequence, like that was to help introduce the X-Men into the characters because it was like very much during like civil rights movement era. And then all of a sudden, just later on, we're in like battle and like that stuff doesn't matter. And like Professor X, he just gets up and walks away. Like it was crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, and Magneto had like a coming out and like, he and Professor X are kind of an on again, off again thing. I thought that was pretty cool.
Which I thought that was the most interesting dynamics because like definitely that makes Tumblr happy, but also,
Yeah.
they were going to reboot it anyway. So they were just doing whatever they could and then just erasing it all at the end, which like bit of a cowardly thing to do because it's like technically
Yeah.
more gay erasure, but it was really cool because I mean that intense makeout scene was incredible.
Yeah, like even if they do recast them, I hope that they double down and are like, yeah, these versions of the characters are gay too. Deal with it. Just let them be.
Yeah, because there was that moment when Professor X was about to wheelchair over a banana, But then Magneto, he's like, "Oh my God, no!" And he pulls the chair out of the way, but he ends up he gets caught because it like hits Colossus's leg, and then he spins and he runs into Magneto, and so then Professor X slams Magneto into a wall, and then Magneto like stumbles down forward, and then he's just like his hands are over over Professor X's arms, and then he's just they're like staring into each other's eyes. Like that was a really funny, intense moment.
Yeah, and Steve Rogers reveals that he actually did not understand the Wizard of Oz reference way back when in Avengers 2012. He was just trying to fit in and had never seen the movie.
Yeah, I also I like Bucky's secret where he just says like, "Yeah, you know, I'm accidentally the reason why you fell into the ice. Like I accidentally screwed up the thing on the way," and everyone was like, "Whoa, Buck is the reason why Captain America would like land in the ice." Like that's crazy.
Yeah, I thought that was a bit of a reach, but like you said, like all the stuff going on in this movie, it's like what happened before and what didn't happen before. And like with all these different universes, it's like it feels like they're doing like pretty much whatever they want and just going with the flow, you know?
hmm What character death impacted you the most?
Oh man. You know, I kind of wasn't expecting this, but they brought back Phil Coulson, finally working with the Avengers again after all these years. But then they killed him off again by the end of this whole thing. And this time they like decapitated him. So it's like, how's he gonna come back from this, man?
I have no idea, but I do know that they're going to make a new Agents of Shield show off of this, and then it's
Yeah.
apparently going to feature Coulson. So it's like, all right, we're just doing the same stuff again.
Yeah, I think what they're probably gonna do is make it so that it's like his head in a jar on a robot or something, something ridiculous like that, which arguably feels more comic booky than how they had him before, but still, yeah, I was not happy with what they did because it's like even if they do bring him back again, it's like are the Avengers gonna know that he's back or is our memory of this whole thing gonna be different? There's so many unanswered questions about this movie that it feels like Marvel is keeping secret from us.
Yeah, like almost they didn't show us like all of the real movie. Like they just shot fake stuff and then put it in there. But
Yeah.
I do gotta say, one of my favorite parts was near the end. So, Act three, the big cataclysm happens, and we're in like the semi rebooted universe. Like it's still forming because it expands this way. So it's forming the past and the future at the same time. Um, and because they were like out of the universe for a second, like they finally caught the attention of Null, which I thought it was interesting that Sony allowed them to bring in Null. And if anyone was know in the comics, the reason why Sentry isn't around is because Null ate Bob. Um, and that does sort of happen again. And a lot, they're trying to fight Null, and then other people are still trying to fight Doom. And then don't we didn't bring up the Maker, but we don't have enough time to get into the Maker. But I really love the team that goes against Null. At the end, it's just Howard the Duck and Null.
Yeah.
And then Howard the Duck, he just sits him down and then they have like a big conversation. And then Null decides that he just doesn't want to deal with this anymore. And then like he just ends that aspect of the universe. And like, but Howard the Duck was just there. So we essentially just saw like Howard the Duck dematerialize, and it was really sad,
Yeah, and it
especially
was
with Marvel What If.
yeah. And it was especially interesting seeing 1986 Howard the Duck in this, the same look, that type of what was it like a costume and animatronic type of thing?
Yeah, and it was crazy because like they went really gory with that part of the scene. Like I noticed they got Sam Raimi to direct part of some of the weird stuff. Because
Yeah.
even though a lot of people have complaints with Multiverse of Madness, at least it was fun to look at a lot of the time, and we can thank Raimi for that. And yeah, he did the sequence where Howard the Duck is pulled apart by different universes and dies, all to help the world kill Null.
Yeah. That one kind of hit me, was really tough to watch, even speaking as like a horror movie fan. Like you kind of don't go into Marvel movies expecting that much intensity, which is why it was such a surprise, seeing all the stuff they were able to do with Blade in this movie, a Mahershala Ali Blade, just slicing people left and right.
Hmm. I mean, they even had Vampire Miles from the recent Blood Hunt Marvel event, and he was just sort of in there for a little bit. But that was to tie into the whole like synergy thing with Marvel Rivals, and Marvel Comics is doing the new horror themed universe. The Ultimate Universe is done. Now we got Horror Universe.
Yeah. So it again, this movie feels like, some people call it a love letter to past Marvel things, but it really also feels like an advertisement for, hey, you should check out these other Marvel things. And so I think self-indulgent is an appropriate word to label this film, in my opinion. But I don't know. What do
Oh
you
yeah.
think?
I mean, I think so too, because literally, so there's three after credits sequences, which we won't
Right.
spoil one of them, but we will get into two of them.
Right. We'll keep one of them secret.
Yeah, we'll keep one of them a secret. Um, and there's so the very last one, the credits roll, and then the camera pans out, and you just see Deadpool in like an empty like AMC theaters, because I think Deadpool's supposed to be Nicole Kidman. Um, and then
Yeah.
he just looks at the film, and then he looks where the camera is, and he goes, "Oh, I guess it really is not more magical here." And then he just gets out and he walks, and then we follow him like walk outside the theater. He gets into his car, he takes off his suit. It's Ryan Reynolds, of course. And then like it just ends like that one, like it's almost like that one Rick and Morty episode where they're watching the TV from the different dimensions, and there's this one commercial where it's like, oh, it's the commercial, and then the guy leaves the commercial and he goes home, and it's like, oh, but
Yeah.
it's actually still the commercial. Like I thought that was fun that they referenced that, and that Deadpool just can go home. Like Deadpool's Ryan Reynolds goes home.
Yeah. And there's a lot of speculation that this might be Ryan Reynolds saying, he's hanging up the Deadpool suit. There might be someone else in it from here on out. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'd be curious to see, like, from here on out, like, is he done with this role, or would he let someone else wear the suit and he could just do the voice? Like, um, yeah, it just left some questions to be answered, which I guess we're suckers for, because we're going to come back to the movies eventually to see what happened with Deadpool, you know?
Yeah, because I did hear, because we guys, Steven and I only saw the movie one time, but apparently, just like Clue, there are just different endings that can
Yeah.
happen. Like I said, we kind of got the null ending where we saw Howard the Duck give it all, and then he died, and like that was really sad. But there's other stuff going around, so just be careful what you see, guys.
Yeah, there's even a version where instead of Deadpool doing the like all the things that you mentioned, it's She-Hulk, and like we see her go home, and like D-Hulk, and it's just her normal form, and it's like, oh, is she done? Like, are they gonna recast this as well? Like, what's going on here?
I mean, yeah, because it's honestly a miracle that they had gotten Tatiana Maslany back, given like all the just like extra world controversy that was just going around at the time.
Yeah.
And yeah, because I did see, like, I think I saw on Twitter there was like that scene where Deadpool eats the, like I said, he eats the food with Daredevil and Spider-Man. But in that one scene, it was just She-Hulk doing it, and I was like, oh, cool, like she's gonna be in it. And then it was like Deadpool instead. And I was like, oh, I see what they did. But yeah, apparently there's just like different cuts of the movie, and like the real one is kept secret, so we have no idea which one's really canon.
Yeah. And there's a rumor that when this movie drops on Disney Plus, they might rotate different versions, and it's like we won't know when it'll be changed out, swapped out for a different one. And like that feels like such a headache for the Marvel aficionados who keep, the fans who keep track of everything and update the wikis to like keep track
Yeah,
of.
because it's like, oh, who's the main antagonist of the film? Well, it's Doom, and all of them. Doom is still part of the villain, but then in one version you have, oh, it's the Maker, and it's played by the guy who did like the early 2000s Mr. Fantastic, and then it's like, oh, or it's Noel, and it's just a CG nightmare that was supposed to be Andy Serkis, but instead I think he played something else in the movie. I don't remember. But yeah, I can't believe Springfield was in the movie and got destroyed in like a minute.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean these different versions are really to keep Disney Plus subscribers, keep
Hmm.
that percentage of people trying to check the movie every week or maybe even every day. And it's like, man, this is kind of a dystopian timeline we're in now.
Yeah, but we're suckers.
Yeah. All right. Was there anything else you want to mention before we go into final thoughts and scores out of 10?
I guess I will say that second after credit scene that I wanted to spoil,
Oh,
which
right.
sets up the real post reboot MCU. It's not a lot, but it's Tom Holland. He swings around and he sees a kid buying like food, and it's like, oh wait, that's that's the same bodega that Miles fights the Spot in Across the Spider-Verse. So I'm pretty sure they were hinting that like Miles is gonna Miles is gonna be like a really big step into the next one. I also think I mean, and they did have Donald Glover as Prowler in the
Yeah.
movie, forgot to mention that. And that was cool. He just saved someone because life's rough. But yeah, I just wanted to shout that out really quick because I do think that the universe is going to go in an interesting direction, even if I don't know anything that I saw is actually canon.
Yeah. It kind of reminds me of certain comics where, like, like Batman the Killing Joke, for a while people were wondering, is this canon? And then later on, like, other things would reference it, and it's like, oh, I guess it is. So,
Hmm.
yeah, I kind of have mixed feelings about comic book movies feeling even more like comics in that sense, honestly.
Yeah, it's a mixed bag because it's like, what part of the experience are you trying to adapt,
Yeah,
and what part works and what doesn't?
right. Okay, so what are your final thoughts on Avengers Secret Wars and scores out of 10? And what's your unit of measurement for that score? So, like, instead of stars, it could be it's something pertaining to the movie.
Um, I guess I'll give it strawberry shortcakes. Um, I think it's definitely above three strawberry shortcakes, but I'm trying to decide whether or not it deserves extra whip or it deserves a fourth strawberry shortcake. You know what? Here. It's three strawberry shortcakes and then one strawberry shortcake with like a bite that's been bitten into it by Ryan Reynolds. So I'll give it that out of five strawberry shortcakes. And I will say again, my favorite moment was when we just had a quiet moment between Peter and Matt and then Deadpool. Um, but second favorite moment is just Howard the Duck's speech on why humanity needs to live and on why AI art is bad. I thought that was interesting and great.
Yeah. I kind of wonder if, the higher ups are gonna follow through with that message or if they're just, saying something just to try to quell things and then still doing stuff.
Yeah.
But okay, I think I'm in a similar boat. I would rate this 3.5 banana peels. I feel like
Mm.
this movie has a lot of, let's be honest, has a lot of fan service in it,
Oh
which
yeah.
it might have been fun if this was presented as a short film, especially if it was made by fans. But given how it's presented and how it's like a big movie we all paid to go to see and how all over the place it feels, I feel like the experience was, to me, felt like kind of a mess all around. And it's like,
Yeah.
was it worth it to adapt Secret Wars for the big
And
screen?
Secret Wars.
Yeah. And so I'm really curious to see if going forward, if the MCU will still do some of this sort of stuff, or if this is sort of the grand finale to that type of thing. It's a multiverse saga specific type of thing. Um, like going forward, I hope that it feels more grounded. And I know that may sound silly to say given, it's comic book movies, but it's got to be a certain way for me to feel as invested as I like to be instead of just looking at uh an attempt at cool looking images.
Yeah, I get
All right.
behind that.
All right. So I guess I'll do it for this discussion. Thanks for joining me, Austin.
Of course.
You all go ahead and plug what you're up to. This episode comes out like May 23rd. So yeah, just for reference.
Yeah, if you guys want to see Steven and I do some improv on June 6th at the Improv Collective in Costa Mesa, that'd be really fun. As we mentioned earlier, the Huntington Beach Boys. I think that's pretty much all I got going on for Jersey's next month. Besides the fact that my birthday is then 10 days later.
Oh yeah, something we discovered is that you have like the same birthday as my brother Alex, funny enough.
Yep. And Tupac.
Yeah, and it's
Fun fact.
616, like Marvel, you know?
Oh, damn. It's damn. Wow. I am more of a DC head, but the universe really wanted me to be a Marvel head.
Yeah. Are there any DC comics you'd recommend people read on that note?
Um, if it has absolute in its name, it's probably good. Not every book is for everyone, but definitely mainline Batman and all the absolute books are really good right now. I know Wonder Woman is contentious for people, and I'm starting to see Wonder Woman sort of lose a little bit of its uh, steam, I guess. Although I am interested in a lot of the concepts. I guess, I don't know. I think top three books coming out right now that are ongoing from DC is Absolute Batman and Absolute Wonder Woman, and then just also just regular Batman. Shout out to Sirens, Love Hurts. That book is also really good. It's Black Label. And then on the Marvel side of things, remember to support Daredevil, always and forever.
Yeah.
And the new Alias is also really fun. Jessica Jones.
Oh, right, yeah.
Oh, and Captain America. So good.
Yeah,
Chip Zdarsky's great.
right. Yeah, I've probably mentioned this to you before, but I've read some of Chip's DC work. I think he had the Batman title for a while, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, he took Batman over, and then Matt Fraction took it from him.
Right. All right, so yeah, go ahead and read some comics, listeners, and check out improv shows. Again, that's Improv Collective at Costa Mesa. Our show is June 6th. Doors open at 9 p.m. Show starts 9:30 p.m. And that'll be our last Huntington Beach Boys show of this IFL season. So
Yeah.
it's gonna be epic.
Yep. See you there.
All right. So thanks for tuning in, everyone. And this show will be back next time without further delay. Have a good day. Alright, so in just a moment, my other self will share thoughts on what he's been watching, some non-spoiler thoughts, and I think this time it's just Invincible. Again, it's only been a week since the previous podcast episode here, and there'll be a 1 week gap between this one and the next one as well. The next episode will be about Disclosure Day, so that should be interesting. But in the meantime, here are the plugs. You can email delayedreplaypodcast@gmail.com. Let us know your thoughts on secrets you think superheroes have that haven't been publicly revealed. Please keep them tame. You can also find me at the social media list in the show notes. Check out Letterboxd, Goodreads, all that stuff. Go to stevenshinder.com for info on my standalones and stepping stones novels. Really appreciate any readers and reviews that get posted. And also go check out the YouTube channel, Steven Shinder Reviews in video form. There might not be something on there for a while, but who knows? You never know. And check out Yes Shift, which is the podcast I do with my dad. It's also a vlog. We did 3 episodes this past week. Well, I did one where it was a news episode, and then on the next one, I talked with my dad. We sort of compared the tracks on the Yes album, The Quest, against the Yes album, Mirror to the Sky. And after that, the third of those episodes was about the new Yes single, Turnaround Situation. So, yeah, lots of fun stuff. Alright, so that's it from me for now, and without further delay, here's my other self. Hey everyone, so better late than never, I finally got around to watching Season 4 of Invincible, and there were some things I quite liked. It really makes you wonder, what does it take to forgive someone, and can one forgive their own self? That's very much the focus of the season. And while there were things that were very compelling to watch, I also feel like I'm at a place where it's kind of tough to take in some of the heavier moments of a show like this. I mean, this show can get pretty dark. I know we're like used to the violence. This is that type of show, but I don't know. I think it's just where I am currently in life at the moment. I'm working some stuff out, so it's yeah, but I'm glad I got through the season, figuring out what my next watch will be amidst all the busyness. I haven't really had a chance to watch much new stuff this past week. I did watch this movie called Lurker. I guess it's kind of a psychological thriller. It came out like last year or something, but I was really not happy with the ending. Like, I don't know how you would end this type of movie, but I was just not happy with it. Like, I know people have praised the movie and I guess maybe how it's shot and stuff like that, but yeah, this was a nope for me. Oh, and again, check out the improv shows that were mentioned at the top of the show. They're happening in either of these universes, so go to Improv Collective in Costa Mesa on Friday, May 29th. Doors open at 9 p.m. for Gene Wilder, and again, that's working with, in support of local charity Working Wardrobe. Bring denim to donate if you'd like. And also check out the My Last Huntington Beach Boys show during this IFL season over Saturday, June 6th at 9:30 p.m. is when the show starts, but doors open at 9 p.m. I highly recommend arriving when doors open. So yeah, improvcollective.fun will have the shows and all the info for them. So yeah, check all those out. lots of fun. So yeah, I guess that's it for me for now. I know this was a short one, a short little update, which may be unexpected given this is a huge topic, Avengers Secret Wars. But hey, it touched on a bit of superhero stuff here, so there you go. Alright, so tune in next week. I'll have watched The Mandalorian and Grogu by then, so I'll try to share non-spoiler thoughts. Will I make a video to put on the YouTube channel for Steven Shinder reviews in video form? I'm not sure. It'll depend on how I'm feeling and what my schedule's looking like. You know, how much time am I able to set aside for something like that? But we'll see. So that's it for now. Without further delay, have a good day.